What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. So I wasn't planning on doing another Oscar nomination prediction video, but because I had so many of you guys in the comment section asking, Austin, why are you just doing Best Picture, Director, Actor, and Actress? Do more. So today, I'm going to do more. I'm going to continue my Oscar nomination predictions and give you guys predictions for categories such as Best Score, Visual Effects, Screenplay, Supporting Actor and Actress, and a few more. Not going to cover every single one of them. Probably not going to hit on documentary, best short live action film, just because there are a few categories that honestly I am not informed enough to make a decision on that. And with the sound design, sound editing, sound mixing, those are always so tough to call. So I'm going to focus on the major ones remaining, but I still want to continue this and finish this out. So I need your comments down below for the categories we're talking about. Are there movies or people that I am missing? Are there things I'm leaving off? And of course, guys, if you like these awards videos, it's something fairly new I'm trying on this channel, so let me know by hitting that thumbs up button down below, and we'll definitely do more. Are there predictions in my previous video that maybe I got wrong? So here's what I'm going to do. Little tease. I'm actually going to, I'm going to go back and change something from my previous video because a couple days later,
2 days later,
I've just been feeling the tide shift in a bit of a different direction, seeing some of these outlets come out and say what the odds are and whatnot. So I still can't quite push De Niro out of Best Actor, but I am going to move him to the number 5 slot. And I'm actually going to... Oh, this hurts my soul because I want Adam Sandler in there. I'm just not seeing it, guys. So I'm putting Taron Egerton into the 4th slot with De Niro in the 5th slot. But everybody keeps saying Antonio Banderas. Maybe it's just where I haven't seen Pain and Glory, and it's really hard to put somebody on there that I just haven't seen. I would not be shocked. I'm hoping to see the movie on Sunday, review it on Patreon. So Monday, when we're doing the live reaction, maybe you'll see me change one more time. If you guys want to see that full video, it's on my channel now. But let's start with today's predictions. And as always, this is not who I want to be nominated. This is who I think will be nominated. So when you're asking, but Austin, I thought you loved the Joker. Yes, I do love Joker, but if I'm not seeing it go in that direction and I don't think it will be nominated, I'm not going to predict it will happen. I can't go off of what I love. I have to go off of what I see. So let's start with Best Supporting Actor. Now, this one for me is fairly easy until we get into that 5th slot. At my number 1 spot, aka the guy who I believe is most likely to get a nomination, is Brad Pitt. The recent win at the Golden Globes, but not just that. The fact that really everyone has been talking about him since this movie came out. He has a great shot in the number 2 spot, and here's why I have Joe Pesci at 2 and Al Pacino at 4 is because I believe people are talking about the supporting performances from The Irishman, but more together than the separate performances, so I think that could be detrimental to them winning. In the 3 spot, I have Tom Hanks. To me, it's obvious he's going to get a nomination. My personal favorite performance from The Irishman was Pacino. I just think Pesci has a better shot. Now, this number 5 slot is difficult. I'm going to go with Anthony Hopkins from The Two Popes because Anthony Hopkins, being an actor who recently hasn't been taking the best roles, he's an Oscar Academy Award nominated actor who has been collecting accolades throughout the years. Well, the last couple of years, he's not been in very good movies, so the fact that he's finally taken this role, I think that pushes him into the number 5 spot, but don't be shocked if my honorable mention, Song Kang-ho from Parasite, takes that spot. I would love to see it. I love the cast from that film. That's probably who I want to take it, but Anthony Hopkins, I think, has the best opportunity. Moving on to Best Supporting Actress, we start with the obvious one at this point. That is Laura Dern in Marriage Story. I thought she was really great in that film, and just opportunity-wise, she has the best chance. Florence Pugh coming in at the number 2 spot really does at this point. I think she's secured herself, not just because of Little Women, which is the movie I have her for, but Midsommar and Fighting with My Family. I mean, so many good performances. If she doesn't get nominated, I'm gonna be upset, man. I gotta be honest with you. So I have her to the 2 spot. Jennifer Lopez at number 3 for Hustlers. I really did think she was great in this film. She carried so many moments, and her chemistry with most of the cast was really good. Now, this is hard for me because I want my 5 to be the number 1. I want my 5 to win. I just don't think it's going to happen. I have Margot Robbie at 4 for Bombshell. She's Margot Robbie. She gave a great performance. I think it's almost a shoo-in that she gets nominated at this point. I have Zhao Shuzhen from The Farewell at number 5. Now, a lot of people are saying Scarlett Johansson. She is my honorable mention. I think there's a very good shot she gets in. But Zhao Shuzhen from The Farewell gave a phenomenal, I believe, underrated performance. And while Scarlett may be the more popular choice here, the fact that she's most likely getting a Best Actress nomination, and she's not to the Amy Adams, I'm going to take you serious level of dual nominations just yet, I think she only gets in for one. But don't color me shocked if she gets in at this number 5 spot, or gets in general, but Zhao Shuzhen is my number 5. Such a good performance in that film. Next up, visual effects. Guys, this is one of the toughest. Now, when I say I'm usually not good at this, it's categories like this that make me not very good at this. So visual effects is going to be tough, but we're going to try to get these 5 right. At my number 1 spot, I have Avengers Endgame. It has to win something, right? And so many people were asking in my previous video, Austin, where is Avengers for Best Picture? Where is Avengers for that? Once again, it's not based on who I want. I'm a Marvel shill, but I just don't think there's really any shot at those categories. But for visual effects, what this film did, and take into account all of these characters on screen in this third act, and the fact that it looked phenomenal. The time travel scenes, the entire second act is great. So I think this has the best shot to get a nomination, along with The Lion King, which, you know, say what you will about the movie itself, on a technical level, visual effects-wise, is pretty freaking spectacular, so I think it has to get a nomination. Star Wars in there. I mean, Star Wars, it feels like every single year, unless it's a loaded, stacked year, gets a nomination, so number 3 for The Rise of Skywalker. And then I have The Irishman. I mean, it's an Academy baity movie, if you want to say, but also the de-aging technology was really good for what it was going for, and it was so hyped up before the film, I don't know how it misses out on this nomination. Now, 5 spot is difficult, because I keep wanting to say 1917. Everyone's saying 1917, but because 1917 is getting such love in all of these other categories, from editing to obviously Best Picture and all of this, does Alita slip into that 5 spot? Alita Battle Angel? Does she do it? I think there's a possibility that a lot of people, because you take a look at this movie, it is spectacular, and while the effects aren't as practical as in 1917, I feel like it's going to serve it more in the editing category, so I'm going to make a weird call. I'm going to say Alita Battle Angel. This is one of those that I may look back on and go, what were you thinking, Austin? But I think 1917 just misses out in the honorable mention spot. For adapted screenplay, this one is a bit more difficult when we get to the 5 spot, but I think my first 4... I hope my first 4 get a nomination. At number 1, I have The Irishman. I mean, just the kind of movie that it is, and the fact that it's looking more and more likely that it may not win for Best Picture. It gets in for adapted screenplay. Next up, I have Little Women. What Greta Gerwig did with this film, adapting this from so many different versions, from the novel to the movie version. But Little Women was great, and I think it's going to get a lot of love for screenplay, especially if she misses out on the Best Director nom. Speaking of Best Director nom, Taika Waititi, who has a chance at that, I think is a shoo-in almost to get nominated for Jojo Rabbit. Those 3 were easy for me. Here's the toughie. So I'm putting Joker in my 4 spot for adapted screenplay, but I'm seeing so many people that just don't have the Joker on their list, and I'm sitting back going, but it's all these other categories, and the fact that the screenplay, and I know, and I've heard the behind the scenes, well, they changed it on the go, every day was different, but it still, at the end of the day, comes to be a specific screenplay, whether you take into account it was done as it was on the page or not. Even if they changed what was on the page, they were still kind of doing what was on the page. It's a very difficult thing to balance, and I think that's what could knock it out, but it has to get in, right? It's Joker. And then in my 5th spot, I'm actually going to put A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood over The Two Popes, which is what I had originally. But if this is going to get love somewhere other than Tom Hanks for supporting, I think it gets into this 5 spot with The Two Popes, just missing out. But that could obviously be a different case when we get our nominations. Original screenplay. So this one was also a bit more difficult, but at my first choice, I have Marriage Story. I think Noah Baumbach misses out on the director nomination, unfortunately. So he is a shoo-in here. I'm not going to give my predictions on who will win yet, but he's got a fairly good shot. Bong Joon-ho for Parasite, obvious for me. He's got to get in. This screenplay was phenomenal. I believe possibly the best of the year, but there's an argument to be made. I think Rian Johnson, man, Knives Out is getting a lot of love, especially if it misses out on Best Picture, which there is a good chance that they don't nominate the movies that I think they should nominate. But I think Rian Johnson gets in for Knives Out, as well as, thank you, Lulu Wang. Please nominate Lulu Wang, please. The Farewell is such a beautifully written screenplay. The emotion, the tender emotion that obviously comes from the characters, but the way they were written is the reason for that, and the performances, of course. But that gets in. And then my fifth spot is tough, but because Golden Globes don't matter, Austin, I know, but he still won Tarantino Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Originally, I had 1917. Then I swapped that out for Pain and Glory because of the love that was getting, even though I haven't seen the film. But now I'm at Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Those are my five. For best score, one of my favorite parts of a movie. I'm so glad I did this video so I could talk about this, but 1917 takes my one spot. But very close behind that is Joker. This is going to be a 1-2 punch when it comes to who wins this award, because there has been love on both sides for both 1917 and Joker, both phenomenal composers. Thomas Newman, more well-known, but Joker's composer, whose name I will not be able to pronounce, she is awesome. I'm not going to say who I want to win just yet, but those are my two favorite scores of the year. At the number 3 spot, Alejandro Desplat, a very well-known composer, Little Women. Randy Newman coming in at number 4 for Marriage Story. I love the score for Marriage Story. I was going to say it was underrated, then I'm like, no, he probably is going to get a nomination. Now, the 5 slot is difficult. Michael Abels for Us was on there for so long. Honorable mention for sure, but this is John Williams' last time doing the score for Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. Well, for Star Wars in general, right? I just think they put him in because of that. Now, the fact that Silvestri for Avengers Endgame is going to miss out on this, I believe, is a travesty, and it hurts my heart and soul, but we will talk about that in my snubs video. Not just yet. And now if he gets in, you're going to see me run and scream in that reaction video. Next up, cinematography, my other favorite element of a movie. Roger Deakins. This is the Roger Deakins Award. I'm going to spoil myself here because 1917 will win this award. There's no doubt in my mind. Let's see who the other 4 nominees are. In the 2 spot, I have Joker from the color correction. I mean, and a lot of this comes down to production design too, but man, oh man, the cinematography in this movie was gorgeous. At the 3 spot, The Irishman, some great work being done there. Number 4, finally, everyone was asking, Austin, what about The Lighthouse? It's just not getting the talk in any category except for cinematography. And it does, in my opinion, deserve cinematography, and I think it gets in, even though it's getting no love anywhere else. Willem Dafoe. We'll talk about Willem Dafoe and snubs. The 5 spot is very difficult because I went back and forth between Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is an honorable mention, Parasite, which is an honorable mention, but Ford v Ferrari, man, what they did with these racing scenes, and this, you know, this could be more of a, I want it to get in, so I'm putting it, but I think there's a really good shot, man. It's not getting a ton of love in some of these other categories. I think Bell ends up getting snubbed, so Ford v Ferrari at the 5 spot sounds pretty good to me. Now, film editing. I'm a massive fan of editing. If you guys saw my compilation video from yesterday, the best moments of 2019, so love for this category. I don't really have any honorable mentions. I think this, to me, this one is obvious. 1917 at the 1 spot, The Irishman at the 2 spot, Once Upon a Time in the Hollywood at the 3 spot. 2 movies, The Irishman, Hollywood, that are extremely long and drawn out, and the editing is really what brings it together. 1917 for obvious reasons, but at the 4 spot, I have Ford v Ferrari, another film where editing, cinematography obviously, but editing is integral to make those racing scenes work. And then Parasite, the way that the story is constructed, especially within the 3rd act. I don't really have, I'm sure we could throw movies on there like a Joker, this and that, but those are my 5, and I'm pretty set on those. Now, the final category that we're talking about is Best Animated Film. And we would have thought the winner was a shoo-in, but after the Golden Globes, it's most likely to get in Toy Story 4 for obvious reasons. I have Frozen 2 at 2 because it's a giant blockbuster Disney movie that made a ton of money. At the 3 spot, I'm going to put Missing Link over How to Train Your Dragon 3. I know. Is this in order of how much I like these movies? No, it is not. But How to Train Your Dragon 3 has really been shut out in a couple of categories. I still think it gets in. The first four are obvious. What's going to be the fifth spot? Well, I did have Abominable, but the more I see some push for I Lost My Body on Netflix, the more I think it gets in. I think it deserves to get in. It's a beautiful film. So Abominable is an honorable mention. I Lost My Body is number 5. But man, Klaus... Why aren't you pushing Klaus? Klaus is a beautiful movie, and the fact that that's probably not going to make it hurts my soul. But that's it, guys. Those are my choices for the nominations, and we will predict once we get those early Monday morning, probably. I don't know the specific time, probably around 8 or 8:30 in the Eastern time zone. Guys, I am so pumped for this. I cannot wait to see what these nominations are. A lot of people say, well, the Oscars are political. They just nominate movies that market the best, this or that. And it's true. You're definitely not wrong. And because of that, I get a bit upset when I think about it. But the movies this year, for the most part, that are being nominated, I either really like or love. And that's cool. I've not been able to say that before. So I'm a bit more excited this year than I have been. There are definitely going to be snubs. I am definitely going to be wrong for the most part, maybe for the least part. We will have to see on Monday, but the big part of this video is you guys commenting your thoughts below. And if you enjoy these kinds of things and you want more for more award ceremonies, if you want me to do a reaction video and a snubs video, hit that thumbs up button. It helps me out. It helps out this channel. I'll be back very soon with more awards coverage, obviously, and movie reviews. And I'll see you soon.